It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hello, thank you, Mr. Announcer. It is Geno Jones Showtime. Showtime. So I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. on the East Coast, here in the beautiful Carolinas, the Charleston, South Carolina Metro. 5:30 if you're in Chicago, maybe New Orleans, Houston, or Memphis, Tennessee. Up in Milwaukee or Minneapolis. On the West Coast, Los Angeles, the City of Angels, Los Angeles, the Bay Area, Seattle, Washington, Portland, Oregon. It is 3:30 and out on the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii. You lucky devil, you. It's 1:30. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Please, everybody you know and don't know, everybody that you like, that you love, that you're really not that crazy about. Even folks you can't stand, folks you hate, strangers, aliens from outer space. I don't really care at all. Tell them all. This is must-see TV, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So let me start off. I want to say happy birthday to some folks. I'm just going to get that out the way up top. Happy birthday to one Lana Michelle Moore. All right, now you're saying, okay, Geno, who in the heck is Lana? I don't know any Lana Michelle Moore? Yes, Moore. M-O-O-R-E-R. Lana Michelle Moore. MC Light, light as a rock. That's my girl, my people, one of the pioneers. Not just one of the pioneers of female rap, one of the pioneers of the rap game, period. Happy birthday. She is 52 today. And black don't crack. I see you, MC Light. I see you, Light. You're looking good. Do your thing, my sister. And NBA All-Star Mike Conley Jr., 35 today. Also today, we are exactly 28 days away from Election Day, the midterm elections. So, let me just say this. Why do you vote? So everybody, if you're watching me in a hair salon, in a barber shop, as they say, old school, the barber shop, the beauty salon, or the hair salons, nail shop. Maybe you could be at work. Maybe you're watching me in the airport on your tablet or your iPhone or your Android. Because I'm an Android guy. I'm a Galaxy, even though they're not cutting a check. So wherever you're watching me, if you're watching me now in real time, shout out to everybody that's watching me and just reaching out. I have a live chat room that's open. If you got a question, a comment, feel free. Even if you want to come for me, come on. But just remember, if you come for me and if I didn't send for you, then I'm going to send you back where you came from, just to let you know. Why is it so important to vote? So women get to decide when or if they want to go through a pregnancy. They get to determine what to do with their body. They get to decide when and if at all, if ever or not, if they want to be responsible for bringing a life into this world. They get to choose. They get to determine whether or not it's going to put their health at risk. They get to determine whether or not they can afford maybe another child because they already have children, or maybe they just decided they don't want to be a parent. They get to determine and decide what to do with their bodies. Yes, your daughter, your granddaughters, your nieces, your sister, could be your spouse, could be your mom, right? So 10-year-old rape victims are not forced to have the child of the rapist. That's why we vote. So every vote counts, and every person that is eligible to vote is able to vote, and that their vote will count. And the person, here's a novel concept. The candidate, the person with the most votes, actually wins. No more of this election deniers and, well, if we lose, so like the MAGA crowd, if we lose, like Orange Hitler, Well, if I lose, it's got to be cheating. Oh, it's got to be election fraud. Now, let me translate what that means. Because today, I am just really cutting through the chase. I am cutting through the bullshit. I'm giving it to you straight, no chaser. Like we used to say on the south side of Chicago, my grandfather and his friends, they say, give me the Bacardi 151 straight, uncut. No Coca-Cola, not on the rocks. The straight uncut 151, I'm giving it to you. Bam! Right between the eyes. So the MAGA crowd will have you believe that somehow, if they lose elections, which they have done and they will continue to do, if you and you and you and you, and especially you, if you and we all vote, they will lose. Because they will have you believe that somehow if they don't get the most votes, then it must have been election fraud. There's cheating. So what that means, let me translate that. That means if too many black folks and brown folks, people of color, Hispanic brothers and sisters who are not racist, because we got some races. We have some anti-black, anti-brown, black people and brown people that hate themselves. We have black and brown people who espouse, who believe, who worship at the altar, who believe in the ideology of white nationalism, which is if you're not an old white man, then you really don't count. That old white men with a lot of money get to decide, make all the rules all the time, and if they don't win, then it don't count. And they can decide, and they can have you work for slave wages or none at all. They get to make all the rules, and they can change the rules in the middle of the game. I'm just giving it to you straight, no chaser. So this is why we vote. So everybody's vote counts. And the person with the most votes actually wins. So if you or someone in your family is diabetic, so you don't have to pay $800 or $1,000 a month for medicine. So if you've got an elderly parent or grandparent that they're not paying over $2,000 a year for medicine. Many of our grandparents and our moms and dads, unfortunately, are on fixed income. They're living off their Social Security. Oh, by the way, remember now, you vote so that not just your grandma or your grandfather or your mom or dad, so you eventually will get the money that you paid into Social Security. Because remember, the same MAGA cult, they want to get rid of Social Security and they want to get rid of Medicare and all of that. They've actually said it. Don't take my word for it. Google it, because you can find it. They didn't hide it. They didn't say the quiet part. They didn't whisper it. They said the quiet part actually out loud. Because there's a boldness that we're just going to really tell you how we feel. Like Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, a man who for nearly 30 years made millions of dollars off of young black men. Then went on to say some of the most outlandish and racist things, that they want what you have and they want to control what you have, and that they want the criminals. See, they is a synonym. So when you hear people like that say they means like black folks, or really what they want to say, they and criminals, the N-word. So the next time you hear like one of these MAGA cult members or one of these racist senators like Tommy Tuberville, when you hear the word, anybody on like fake Fox News, anybody like that, when they say Orange Hitler, when they talk about crime, they're talking about black folks or brown folks. Welfare, they're talking about black folks. See, these are code words, but now they'll just use the N-word, which is ironic because the majority of people on welfare in America are white people. As a matter of fact, out of all the different demographics, groups of people, demographics, that is on public assistance, the largest number are young white women. But they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that because they want you to believe. They want you to believe all these racist myths and stereotypes and narratives. And they do that to poor and working class white folks, and they've done it forever. All the way back to where when you had Africans who were enslaved and first brought here, along with the early Irish immigrants. Just Google something called the Bacon's Rebellion. Basically, so you had our ancestors that were brought here, who were enslaved and brought here. You know, they got together with the Irish who were immigrants. This was back in the 1700s. And, you know, they actually got together and said, wait a minute, hold on. Man, I'm paraphrasing. Man, they got y'all out here working for free? They really got us like working for free? Hold on. We need to get together. Oh, boy, and then when the people in power, when the original people who could only vote based on the Constitution, because, you know, the Constitution said the only people who originally could vote were wealthy white male landowners. So if you were poor or working class white, male or female, because women were never mentioned in the Constitution at all, because these men considered women property. So the only people that could vote were wealthy white male landowners. Christian, even though the quote unquote founding fathers, they were not like religious men at all. Not very. No, just look at the Constitution. But I don't want to, we're not going to have a constitutional scholar debate. But the point I'm trying to make, so you had these enslaved black people and these indentured servants. Google indentured servants. Look it up. These were like poor working class, white, primarily Irish immigrants. And the two kind of got the black folks, the enslaved Africans and the indentured servant immigrants got together and was like, oh, hold on, time out. Google Bacon's Rebellion. But then the slave owners was like, time out. Listen, you are not black. You are not a Negro to the Irish. Now, before, the Irish weren't considered white. Not at all. As a matter of fact, do some homework. In America, like the Irish immigrants, they were looked down upon. Actually, they were considered the N-words. There are even some Irish slurs that's the equivalent of the N-word. I'm not going to repeat them here, but you can find them. Talk to an Irish American that knows their history, that hasn't bought into this whole racist white nationalist ideology of whiteness. They will tell you that. So this whole made-up construct, some people say, go all the way back to the late 1400s. I know for certain there's documentation that this whole concept of whiteness started around the late 1680s. Some people say it goes back to the 1500s, late 1400s, 1490s. But around that time, this whole concept of whiteness, you have to understand that like all white people weren't always considered white in America or even in Europe. Like here, like I said, it was basically wealthy white male landowners, you know, from England, you know, the WASP, white Anglo-Saxon as they call them. Basically, folks that came, you know, from England and left England because they were being taxed without being represented. So, Irish immigrants first came to America. Italian immigrants first came to America. German immigrants that first came to America. Jewish immigrants that first came to America. Polish immigrants that first came to America. Chinese immigrants that first came to America were not considered white when they first got here. The truth is, they were really considered the N-words. You can Google their anti-immigration laws on the books from the mid-late 1800s, early 1900s. Anti-immigration that did not want Jews, that did not want the Irish or Italian immigrants in large numbers, Chinese immigrants to come to America because they were not considered white. But when these slave owners kind of got paranoid because there were so many Africans here in America, they was like, oh snap, hold on. We need some more numbers. Okay, Irish, y'all white. Okay, Italians, we don't really, because y'all, yeah, we think y'all are criminals too in the mafia, but okay, we're going to let you in too. So now you're considered white. Germans, okay, you're considered white. Oh, you Hispanic, that look white? We really don't want y'all in here either. We don't like Hispanic. But if you look white enough, and if you talk like white people, and you don't speak Spanish, okay, you can pass for white too. Even some black folks who look white pass for white. So this whole concept of whiteness is made up. So what does all that have to do with voting? What it means is that any white people that are watching, or melanin challenged, melanemic, as Sister Jane Elliott, who's like an 80-plus-year-old white woman that is just really just brilliant, who has just called out this whole made-up construct, this whole made-up concept. I call it like a made-up con game of whiteness. She addresses it. It's made up. It's not real. There's nothing scientific or biological about whiteness or any color. If you get a DNA test, it will not come back and say you are like 85% white. It won't. I guarantee you. I'll bet you a year's salary. Go get a DNA test and let me know when it says you're 85%, 90%, 56% white. It won't. It doesn't, DNA, you don't identify DNA by black or white. DNA is identified by primarily like the region you come from. They'll say German American or Eastern European, Italian, Irish, Scottish. Africa, we got Cameroon, we got Nigeria, Kenya, you've got Ghana, you've got Benin, you've got Ivory Coast, you got South Africa, you've got Egypt, Somalia. It's not going to say black. This stuff was made up to pit the majority of people who call themselves or were called white, to make them think that people who just have a little more melanin active in their skin, and the truth is the majority of the people on the planet are people of color, are melanated. You can Central America, South America, just go to Brazil. Hell, you can go to Chile, Colombia, Venezuela, Central America, Panama, all just the Caribbean, Southeast Asia. I mean, you got people from Mexico, you got people from Southeast Asia darker than me. So this was made up. So a few people for centuries that have had their hands on the levers of power, economic power, they've had their hands and they've controlled money, who got the money, who was going to get the money, who had the economic, political power, who had it, who was going to get it, who didn't have it, who wasn't going to get it. Political, social, economic power. This is all about power. Now, what does that have to do with voting today? Because now, the whole MAGA cult, they've given up the game. Example, Herschel Walker. Now, this whole MAGA cult, which used to be, quote unquote, the Republican Party, they were supposed to be the party of family values. Yes, we're family values. It's just me, the husband, and the good, dear old wife, and we got 2 kids, 2.5 kids, and we got a dog, and we got a nice little white picket fence home out in the suburbs, and I just walk with a little tight ass and a little small genital, and yo, life is good. That whole made up narrative, they were the party of family values. Then they voted for a dude that is the most immoral, thrice they say, 3 times thrice divorced, who according to all reports, according to the stripper, no, I'm sorry, correct me. I'm sorry, I apologize to the strippers or the exotic dancers, the entertainers, the quote unquote, the porn star who said that the orange Hitler dude was sleeping with her without protection, without a condom, while his wife was pregnant with the last child, his last son. The most immoral, the most racist, started the whole racist birther lie. Let's put it this way. He was like the Pied Piper. He was the megaphone questioning Barack Obama, who has more intelligence in like his thumbnail than that jackass could have in 10 lifetimes. Had the nerve to question. Well, where's his birth certificate? I haven't seen it. You know what I haven't seen? I haven't seen Orange Hitler's birth certificate. I haven't. Are you human? You could be, you look orange, you could be from Mars, the orange planet. Are you really, we don't know who the hell you are. But he amplified that racist birther notion, and he questioned, like, what kind of grades did he get? Now, you got a lot of nerve on you, because you, of all people, should not want to talk about anybody's grades. We still waiting on them transcripts from high school, and college, and everything else. So you want to have that conversation? Yeah, you're not magna cum laude either, buddy. You weren't even close to it. You weren't magna cum or laude. Lottie-dottie, dottie-dottie, lottie-dottie, dottie-dottie. So you have to understand that this whole myth about, the Republicans, we're a family value party, is bullshit. See Herschel Walker, a man who has melanated skin, darker than me, who has embraced all the tenets and ideologies of white nationalism. He is one of the most anti-black people. Now I've got to throw Kanye West in there too. Clarence Thomas, I could throw a few more. Tim Scott, who I hope will lose this election coming up, to Representative Crystal Matthews. Y'all say what y'all want to say about her, really about her. Because really, with all the open racism, so all these people who are supposedly so moral and, these good Christians and, we're about family values. So you got a dude who is apparently got his son talking about how he just kind of left him and his mama high and dry. And then, so you got a woman that says that he paid for one abortion and then tried to talk her into getting a second abortion, and she didn't have the abortion, and she had his child. And then supposedly, allegedly, according to reports, the current wife of Herschel is calling the ex-girlfriend, jump off, side piece, whatever. It's like Herschel is doing he having a whole lot of sex and not using a whole lot of condoms. Because you got all these, what the count is, like 4 kids? 4? 5? I hope y'all getting tested for STD and worse. Because there's a whole lot of sleeping around with Herschel Walker, and apparently he must be allergic to condoms. I don't know if it's the latex or whatever it is. He must have an allergy, an allergic reaction, because apparently he wasn't wearing too many or any at all. But he was paying for these abortions, according to the women who produced the receipts. So the media, she literally had the receipts from the abortion clinic. I saw a picture, receipt, it said the name of the clinic. She got the canceled check. She got the get well soon card. So what happened to family values in Georgia? You put this totally incompetent, just clueless black person. Now, why do you think that the white MAGA crowd primarily, because the vast majority of his supporters are the MAGA crowd, why do you think they would support a black man like this? Well, because he espouses anti-blackness, and he espouses the white nationalist ideology, And I'm going to let you all in a little dirty secret. He is the kind of black man that all the races and the white supremacists, the white nationalists, he represents the black man that they believe everybody, or as Nelly would say, black man is. Prone to be violent, according to one of his ex-wives, who said she had to move from house to house, that he put a gun to her head and threatened to kill her. Violent, not very intelligent. But it's funny, violent but docile at the same time. Violent toward women, but docile when it comes to what the white nationalist leader or his handlers tell him what to do. Well, Herschel, you be a good boy, Herschel. Not very well spoken, not the brightest light bulb in the box, not at all. That is the narrative. That is the image that anti-blackness and just anti-black people who espouse this whole nonsense of white nationalism. That is the narrative. That is the poster child. That is the picture that they want to project about all black men and women, to be honest with you. They don't want someone like Barack Obama. Oh, he's an uppity Negro. With Stacey Abrams or Vice President Kamala Harris. Because then it's really, because these same men, primarily, but you got women in the MAGA cult too, and they espouse, and you have women who are sexist, and I guess misogynistic, who espouse and believe in misogynistic ideology. So these same racist men are, in a lot of cases, or people, are very sexist and misogynistic and homophobic, and just not just anti-black, anti-brown, anti-immigrant, anti-brown. Because always, oh, see, these immigrants are, they're coming to take your job. No, white people who vote for Orange Hitler and continue to vote for this MAGA cult, no, immigrants are not coming to take your job. Let me ask you something. For those MAGA cult members who've had a job shipped out of America, who made that decision? If you haven't had a raise in the last 30 years, if you are paying $800 to $1,000 a month for your diabetes medicine, even if you can afford health care, if you don't have health care, who do you think is responsible for you not having health care, for you not having a raise in 30 years, for your job being shipped to Central America or Southeast Asia? Who do you think is responsible for that? It's not an immigrant. It's not anybody who looks like me. It's not a Mexican or a Muslim. It is not a woman. It is a white man who, in most cases, espouses to this racist, sexist, misogynistic, homophobic, xenophobic idea that if you're not a wealthy white male, and in America they say Christian, but this whole Christianity hypocrisy is laughable. So if you don't fit that mold, they don't really give a damn about you. But they can't tell you that, because if they can make you think that the reason that you haven't gotten a raise, the reason that you four or five, 6 generations of you and your family had lived in the same trailer park in Kentucky or Tennessee or in South Carolina, upstate South Carolina, just north of where I'm at, or in North Carolina or West Virginia or parts of Illinois or Missouri or Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the reason for your lot in life, the reason why you can't afford to send your kids to college or good school, or in your rural area where you don't have any hospitals if you wonder who is responsible for the hospitals being closed down, it's primarily a white man, probably a group of them, like on a board, that sat in a room and made a decision about your future. But they can't let you know that. So they make you think that somebody that looks like me, or a woman, or a Mexican, or the anti-Semitic art, blame it on the Jews. Oh, blame it on the Jews. You got wealthy Jews, you got poor Jews, you got working class Jews in America. It's just like you've got, wealthy white people, you got poor working class white people. This is about power. This whole thing about family values, they're showing you with supporting Herschel Walker. We don't care about, they showed you that with Orange Hitler. We don't care. A man who's been credibly accused by at least 24 women of, at minimum, sexual assault, and worse, has been credibly accused of rape. Who said on videotape, you can grab women by the pussy, and they like it. His words. And 53% of white women, after hearing that, went and voted for him. What does that say? That this thing called whiteness, it is a mighty powerful drug. And they know it. And they continue to wave this whole concept of whiteness to fan your ignorance and fear and racism and xenophobia and misogyny and sexism. They wave it at you like a matador waving a red flag in front of a bull. Because you keep charging. You keep charging at the racism. And while you are doing it, they are in your pockets, fleecing you. Orange Hitler has made so much money. And keep in mind, he is the one that called for insurrection. He called for people to come to the Capitol to overthrow the government. All these so-called patriotic ex-military, some current military, ex-law enforcement, some current law enforcement, who take this oath to serve and protect, who take an oath to the Constitution, all of a sudden said, to hell with that oath, I'm worshiping this orange Jesus, Orange Hitler. Man, you better wake up, okay? So, you vote so that this white nationalist cult dictatorship doesn't take hold. So families who can't afford child care can get affordable child care. So the people who were getting that $250 a month to $300 a month child tax credit, so you can start getting that money again. So your children can, even you, can make a living wage of $15 to $20 an hour. And so when somebody talks about money and crime, so let's talk about, because they say, oh, inflation. Well, just imagine if people, the families that were getting the child tax credit, just imagine if they were still able to get that $250 to $300 a month. That would help out a whole lot. That would kind of lessen the burden to inflation. Now, I'm going to have this economic conversation at a different day, so I got to get ready to wrap it up. But I just want you to think about something here. So I just wonder, why is it that when Orange Hitler gave this huge tax break to all these billionaires and multimillionaires and all the corporations, somehow it didn't affect inflation? It didn't force companies to somehow have to raise the price of food or gas or rent. It didn't. But right after the pandemic, when people said, hey, I'm not coming back to work for no $7.25, $8, $10 an hour. At least $15 an hour, at least. So all of a sudden, companies figured out, restaurants, hey, we got to pay people close to a living wage if you're making $15 an hour. That's still what? That's not even $40,000 a year. Because $10 an hour, you work 40-hour work week, that's $30,000 a year in America. So why is it that when money is given through tax breaks to billionaires and corporations, it doesn't affect inflation? But when all of a sudden, when there was money for people who needed it because of the pandemic, and when the child tax credit and the stimulus money that people got because of the pandemic, somehow all of a sudden, when poor and working class people get some kind of tax break, then all of a sudden it's a handout and it causes inflation to rise. Just think about that. So one group gets money, it doesn't affect inflation. But the majority of poor and working class people get just a little minimum tax break. You know, a child tax credit, or just some money to survive after coming through a pandemic. All of a sudden, the inflation has to go up. I'm not an economist, but I know bullshit when I see it, hear it, smell it. Just want you to think about that. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show channel right here on YouTube. Subscribe, share, like, and binge watch all my back episodes. The official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show is Markel Bailey. Check him out on Instagram, Kel Be Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP. Allie Jones, she is the official wardrobe consultant and stylist. She is the drip director, as the kids like to say. The drip is the fashion, the gear. She is the wardrobe consultant stylist for the Geno Jones Show. You can check her out on Instagram, LX.NCL underscores, that little dash below. So that's L like Lexi, X like extra, dot, N like Nanette, C like Charlie, L like Lexi, underscore. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Please copy the link, screen grab a minute or 2 minutes of the show, put it up on your Instagram, your stories, put it in your Facebook stories, put it up on Twitter, put it up on TikTok, and put it in your TikTok stories. Put it in your reels on Instagram and Facebook. Like I said, share it on TikTok. Yeah, they got the reels too on TikTok too. Just share it everywhere. Make it go viral. Thank you for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. I want to thank you, and especially you for watching. I really do love each and every one of you. Mother, you know I love you more than life itself. I see you posting there. Until Wednesday, live, the next live edition, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Until then, for those who are binge watching the show, if you missed it when it was live, thank you. I want to thank you for watching too. As always, be blessed. Pray for peace. And vote!
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.